Hey everybody, it's Chainsaw Gears 12 here, and I'm here with another album review. And today I'm reviewing Justin Bieber's new Breakdown. Oh man, I'm not reviewing a Justin Bieber album or any of that sort. I'm reviewing, however, Metallica's S&M album. I originally recorded this about 2-3 months ago, I think, the video, and for some reason the video just it somehow into like however long it was into, it messed up and the audio was messing up. So I decided like I wasn't going to retry it, but now I'm back here to retry it, and hopefully I get my viewers back that have been sticking around for Metallica stuff. I just put on the Beyond Magnetic EP review. To anybody who hasn't seen it that's about to watch this video, should go check that out for sure. And this got all the classic stuff on here. Symphony Orchestra Edition. Symphony. That's a weird word. Symphony Orchestra. And it's the San Francisco Symphony Orchestra. And this was recorded, I think, back in 1999. I'm not sure if it was released in 2000 or 99. It says 1999 on the case, so going with that. But they did, I think they did 4 shows altogether, or maybe I'm wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong on that, if you know your information. Yeah, I'm just gonna go through all the songs, and before I get into this, you know that there's 2 songs that was originally not released, that was released on this CD, and yeah, so we're gonna get into the review and talk about the songs, and basically, if you're a Metallica fan, you know all the songs on here, and just give a little rundown of each ones and how the Symphony Orchestra made the song sound better in different ways and all that good stuff. The Call of Cthulhu, of course, you gotta start out with an instrumental, and they start out with James comes out first, starts playing the riff, and then they all come out in different parts and they start playing, and the orchestra really backs up the song really well, for sure. It's just the Call of Cthulhu by itself is a masterpiece. It's like an epic basically, and I think with the orchestra they really took that and then they added their own stuff, which makes it sound a lot better and makes it sound just really an epic opener for just an amazing concert that's going to be blasting your ears for the next while. And then they jump into Master of Puppets, which I thought that was a good run-in, a good segue to jump into from Cthulhu, and then bam, hit you with Master of Puppets. The orchestra really does some awesome stuff during the middle section, interlude if you want to call it, the mellow parts. And other than that, the orchestra really showed how to add on to a heavy Metallica song. And before I go any further, it's basically just talking about the orchestra, and I will say some notes about if the band members really showed their styles on the songs, and you could easily tell. But yes, Cthulhu and Puppets, really good so far. It's a great concert, and it's shaping up to be a lot better. Of Wolf and Man, James Hetfield, before the actual playing, said that we're changing this title to Of Wolfgang and Man for the orchestra, and I thought that was really neat. And yeah, this song is really catchy by itself without the orchestra, and then the orchestra jumps in and makes it sound a lot better, adds a lot more variety to it, and James's vocals is really powerful in this song for sure, and it was really catchy. And then the thing that should not be, which was probably the most interesting thing, if I'm not mistaken, they took out the second verse, and they just did verse 1 and 3, and then the orchestra did amazing on this song. Also, James's vocals was really, he thought it out how he was going to do it in the song with the orchestra behind him, and it really just sounded amazing. It just sounded really dark and evil, and that's what the thing that should not be should sound like, evil and dark, and it is when they're playing it live by themselves, but especially on this version, the S&M version, it was really powerful. Fuel, which of course is a fan favorite, and it was really fast and it was really crazy, and the orchestra was playing this like really high pitched thing, and then Kirk does this what sounds like like an engine starting up on a car, and then James, they jump into it, and it's really fast, and the orchestra keeps up pretty well in it. Next is The Memory Remains, which the orchestra had a lot of fun with this one. You could tell the orchestra really well, not the orchestra, they played the stuff, but Michael Keenan, I think that's his name. Michael Kamen. Michael Kamen. I'm gonna say it's Michael. That's the that was the conductor. I should have said that before the video, but he really wrote some interesting stuff into the Memory Remains, and I thought that was really cool. And then of course the audience sings at the end, the da 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 da, and all that good stuff. I'm sick. Yes, that's why my voice sounds really deep. I don't know why. But yeah, that was really catchy stuff. Next is the No Leaf Clover, the first song that was released on this, and it was never released without the orchestra. But there are rumors that the band has No Leaf Clover somewhere without the orchestra that was recorded in the studio, which hasn't been released yet, so no telling. But No Leaf Clover, it was a really interesting piece, and you can tell it was written with an orchestra. It was written for an orchestra to play it with them. And they have played it live without the orchestra, but they have the orchestra playing in the beginning, like on the audio tape, playing at concerts after the S&M, of course. And a lot of people really dig it. I dig it too. Hero of the Day, which was one of my favorites, on load without an orchestra. But orchestra, man, they just make it so much more powerful and much more lively. Hero of the Day is just a great song, but the orchestra really backs it up and makes it sound more powerful and moves it on through the song, makes it just, it's getting heavier and heavier and heavier, and then it hits that end, and then they're playing through where James is like, "Mama, they tried to break me." It's just like amazing with the orchestra just playing like crazy on that one. The Devil's Dance, it's the same song. The Devil's Dance, it was really, really groovy. It's like, it's that groove, They got to that groove part of the set, and it was really catchy, and they were just, just going along with it, man. It was pretty entertaining to listen to the Devil's Dance. Nice. Bleeding Me, which was the end of, which is the last song of their first set, of the first part of the set. That's what I just said. But yeah, Bleeding Me, it's such a great song without the orchestra, but with the orchestra playing it, it really shows a different light of how the song really sounds and how it was. It sounds like, and speaking of Hero of the Day too, Hero of the Day and Bleeding Me both sound like they were written for an orchestra to play. That's weird, but the orchestra goes so well with the two songs, especially Bleeding Me, talking about it, and the orchestra just like made the song sound more beautiful in the verse sections and made it just, sound killer. And then they have an intermission, and then they come back with Nothing Else Matters, James playing on the acoustic guitar, and them being, it's like they make it a lot more mellow. The orchestra is like playing, really mellow stuff and really moving the song along. And there's a version of Nothing Else Matters called the Elevator version. I think that's what it's called. It's an orchestra version, and actually the guy Michael Kamen, that's how you say his name, the conductor of this S&M album, came to James Hetfield and them, I think, back at like 1992, 93, after Nothing Else Matters was a hit, and made it into an orchestra version, and it's exactly played like it was on that Elevator or whatever orchestra version that was released back in the 90s. It's the same exact stuff that's going on, and it's really, really beautiful. You should go check it out. Until It Sleeps, really catchy, really good stuff. Until It Sleeps was really, it's a catchy song without the orchestra, and the orchestra just keeps it going, and it was really interesting to listen to hear some of these load songs on S&M with orchestra playing. For Whom the Bell Tolls, of course, you got to come out with the classic, and the orchestra's playing some really fast notes and some really catchy stuff in that. It was really surprising to hear how fast they were playing on that. It's really catchy stuff. Minus Human, which is the second and final new song, I guess. Minus Human was especially written more than No Leaf Clover to have an orchestra playing. It was very evident, you can tell by listening to the song, an orchestra needs play. There's a video or two I found on YouTube where someone has taken the orchestra and removed the orchestra and just had Minus Human just as the band playing, and it just doesn't sound as good as it does with the orchestra. So I don't recommend taking out the orchestra on that song. Wherever I May Roam, another Black Album classic. The song, it sounded like James's vocals was like making it he changed it up just a bit, and it really made it work. And he held out this note for like I think like more than 10 seconds long. This really high note, and you can hear him. He's blasting. It's at the end. It's getting at the end of the song, and he just holds it out like crazy. I'm like, how's he doing that? And it's just, the orchestra sounds like they're having a lot of fun with that one for sure. And then the Outlaw Torn, come on, the Outlaw Torn, duh. The Outlaw Torn just sounds like it needs an orchestra. It played a lot better with the orchestra because there's no guitar parts, or there's not a lot of guitar parts in the verse sections, and the orchestra just makes it sound so much better. And then when we get to the jam session at the end where James starts playing that what sounds like the ending solo slash jam thing, it just sounds all so much better with the orchestra playing. It just makes it sound like a whole different song. That's how amazing the orchestra sounded. Sad but True, of course, had to pull out the probably in the top 3 classics off of Black Album. Just had to pull out Sad but True. It sounds good as usual. Orchestra plays some interesting stuff in it. Just had to get through that one quick. One, of course, they had to end that, and that was their second intermission. And then, but before I go back to the last 2 songs, but yes, one did sound really epic with the orchestra playing, especially at the Darkness riff. And then basically the Darkness riff to the end, orchestra's going crazy, the band's going nuts. It sounds really good, and it sounds like they played it really tight. And I'm really excited that they pulled that off well. And then they go for another intermission, and they come back with Enter Sandman, and they just jump right. I don't think they had an intermission. It says there's like these 2 lines that go under on the intermissions, but it's a line between one and Sandman. But on the album, when I'm listening to it on the album, they go from one and Enter Sandman like bam, like within like 30 seconds to a minute of stopping one. But that's what the CD does. I don't know if that's what happened at the show, but Sandman was really good, really catchy. I enjoyed it. It's as you would want to hear Enter Sandman, but with an orchestra. The orchestra plays some really interesting stuff, and when they play the ending to Enter Sandman, it sounds a lot more catchy with the orchestra playing behind, and to get you, pumped up for Enter Sandman. And then they end with a high note, Battery. They blast off into Battery, and what makes this probably one of the best, or not best, one of my favorite Battery live performances is because the beginning, the intro tape acoustic guitars on the Master of Puppets album Battery, where it's the acoustic guitars, and then they jump into the heavy. The orchestra plays that whole intro by themselves, and I was like, wow, and it sounds amazing. I can't stress this enough, that word, to this whole album. It's amazing. I was like, wow, the orchestra played that? That's ridiculous. And it was amazing. And then, amazing, of course. Then they blow off into the heavy riff, and then they jump through the whole song, and the orchestra is playing just as fast as Metallica is on Battery. And then they end it, and the people are freaking out. They play the big ending, of course, after every Metallica concert. They play a huge ending thing. And then, they were like all saying thank you and stuff. And then Lars said, this time next year or whatever. People were getting all excited. You can hear people screaming. But, sadly, it never happened because Michael came in. That's how you say his name. He passed away. I'm not sure how long after this album, but he did pass away, and I'm assuming that's why they have and probably will never do an S&M 2, which would be cool because they have newer material, and they could pick up on older songs, but that's just how it is. But that is S&M. And of course, at 10 out of 10, I didn't rate the songs because I jumped through some of them. But if you have not heard any of this, or even if you don't own the CD, you have to go buy the CD. S&M is a great buy, so definitely go buy this, okay? So, alright guys, well that is the S&M album review, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, and just keep on checking back for more videos of Metallica, guitar, whatever I come up with. So, alright guys, I'll see y'all later.